Hi, this is Steve. Wanted to do a quick video on the Ruby and Luna um, indicator. This is ultimately what they're going to look like. This is the version that's available right now. Here's the newer version. It's basically the same. It just puts some things up there versus this extra panel that we had. So, needless to say, first and foremost, you want to, if you're starting from scratch, you want to go to Tools, and you would go to the entry signals. And from the entry signals, what we've done is we've broken them down into three groups, and we've labeled them. Ruby is ES or MES. We just broke them down by the markets, and actually these are our pets, our dogs. So anyway, so Ruby is ES, Luna is NQ, Leo is soon to be CL, which will be next, and then Bell is going to be gold. So but they only trade for that particular market, and there's reasons, but that's for a different day. So right here I have some newest versions we're upgrading and whatnot. So if you want to find the download, just hit the download file and you'll download it right to your typically going to be in your downloads folder. Might be on your desktop or wherever you have it set for, but typically it's on your downloads. And then once you do that, you go into your Ninja and you go to Tools, Import, Ninja Script add-on, and it'll take you to your wherever it takes you to, probably the last thing you might have been in. So you'll go to your downloads, and there it is right there. I'm not going to load it, obviously. So one of the first things that you have to do, though, is down here. A lot of people don't read it, but you have to enable this function here. So in your control panel, Tools, go to Options, and then Automated Trading Interface. You have to have this checked. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So check that. Okay, so that's that section right there. You could read all this, and I would recommend reading for trade management portions of that, because that's really important, and you have to set those, and you have to understand what they're all about. So what these are just entry signals, just as it says. And so what we're looking for is when things line up based on certain conditions, then it's going to give you a little green going up arrow or a down arrow. But the main thing is how you manage it versus trade management as far as stops, targets, etc. So let's go on and continue on with the function of it. So when you install it, so now it's installed. So obviously you go to indicators, and you would go to the Tremper folder up here, and you would go ahead and pull it in for the particular chart. Now the MES or ES, whichever you're working with, is going to be a 4-range chart. That's what we've been. Now again, you can play with whatever you want, but this is what we're working with, and so that's what we recommend. So it's a 4-range, and then the NQ or MNQ will be a 13-range. So needless to say is you also have to have your ATM set. So the only thing you're going to have available to do is your playback or your sim. And so I'm actually going to put it on playback since I've got playback going. And you want to set your ATMs. Now the ATMs, they just have to be added into your folder. They have to be selected. And then so you'll have 1 and 2. And level 1 and level 2 are just that. They're just higher levels. Level 2 has got a few more stipulations, if you will. You're not going to see as many of them. I usually run just 1 and 2 together. The ATMs are the same for both. I mean, obviously you could change them, but right now we're just running the same for both. It's just a different quality of trade. That's all. But the outcome. So most importantly, though, is going to be this the stop management. You have to understand that a little bit. So again, depending on the size of the bar that you're doing. Going back to this size right here, you can see I'm using a 4 tick range. So if I'm using a 4 and multiply it by 3.5, you'll get your 14 or 13.5. And so you're gonna get so you want 14 there as your stop size. It's going to be your minimum stops and target and ticks. So that one's going to be 14. And then when you start getting into your ATM strategy, your target to compensate your commissions is this 15. So it's always going to be one more. Now, whether or not you have stop management is your business, but whatever you're looking for as far as your stop, it has to be 3.5 times. And otherwise, it won't take any trades. It has to be 3.5 times the size of your chart. So in this case, it's got 14. My target is 15. And in this case over here, obviously, this one is going to be NASDAQ. So it's going to be 46. So again, 13, 3.5 times. It's going to be 40. Oops, I'm not going to use the management. So the 46 and then the ATM is going to be 46 and 47 as far as the ATM is concerned. And what I've done with the ATMs, turn it back on again, is I've just called them just that. You know, Luna ATM level 2 or level 1, whatever you want to put in there. You have to have them both, or you could put them both the same. You can just have ATM and just put them in both spots in the indicator. So you can see I changed this because I was doing. Don't look at that. Yeah, that's what it should be. I was doing some. That's what you want it to be. So again, you could have this anything you want, but you got to have this at least 3.5 times. So, so that's that. So when you go into your, and you don't even have to show it here. I mean, it doesn't even have to be in here technically. I like it here only because if I turn on, oops, if I go into my status box here, I could turn on the ATM plot, and then it tells me what I'm on, if you have that on at all. So again, going back into the indicator, this is what I was talking about. So this is what it has to be in here, whether or not it's on your chart or not is here nor there, but it does have to be made. And you could again put them both for if they're the same, you could just put L2, L1 in each one. Like that, you could do that, but if you have a separate setting, you can do L2. Now, in my case, they're both the same. I just have them labeled a little differently. And the reason why I label them differently is because when I go into trade management, when you go into new and then performance, you're able to go into your filters and say, only give me, well, I don't even have it in here, but only give it, you know, whatever ATM you're looking for, the template, and then that way you can see what's the level 1 trade doing versus the level 2, and go from there. So that's why I do that, but not necessary. Okay, so that's about it. As I mentioned, you have to have that interface on. And as they say, it's going to go in sim only. So once you turn it on, and you could do all these if you want, but again, that's probably the most critical. Colors, if you want to change those, everything else is pretty much standard. So that's it. So now it's on. When it's on, you need to actually select whichever one you want, or both, and then unpause it to make it active. Now, when you have it active, and again, this one over here has it down here, and I like the newer version. I like this up here a little better, and I like this. So right here, this you got an airplane and a rocket, and that just lets you know which one you're using. So level 2 is the rocket, and obviously the airplane is level 1. So if you're doing both, you can see right there that it's ready to go. And now another newer version we're going to do is the time frames. Right now this is all preset, and if you look on here, I thought I had it in here. It's my level right here. So here's your settings right there. And actually that should be, I got to change it. It should be 835. So it's right after the news. So in any event, this is your sessions right here that's pre-coded. In the upcoming version, it's going to be, you can decide what you want in there and be able to do it that way. You can always hit pause, of course, you know, like there's news or something like that. You just pause it and it shows it's disabling. But you could set your times for, you know, overnight session or day session, whatever it might be. And then if you don't want it, if you're going to go to the restroom or whatever, just hit pause, etc., and then do it that way. So that's really about it. And again, everything boils down to how you manage your position. But let me think. I think that's, let me look at my notes and see if there's anything else. Hold on. I think I've pretty much covered it. So basically the most important thing to deal with is your stop your stops management in there. It has to be, again, 3.5 times. And the hours that it's going to trade are kind of set in stone right now, but you could turn them off manually here doing that. So, what else? It's in the standby mode. So as I go here, I'll unpause it. And why am I on sim? It should be on playback. I could have swore I changed that. Oh, all right. I'm gonna go back. Okay, it should say the count that you're trading, and this one. Let me trade this one too. Playback. There we go. Okay, so now we're ready to go. And then every time you change a setting in your instrument, whether it be this one or not, anytime you change it, you're going to default back to pause. So if you're wondering why nothing's happening, every time you have to do it, and you have to manually get it ready to go. Okay, so well, I probably should. This will take forever, so let me just do this. All right, so other things here is these are called the chop box. So as it starts to recognize a little chop going back prior bars, it's going to notice that we're not going anywhere. It's going to paint a box. Now, this is what it typically looks like. You can see there's one box and then another box. Every bar, you're going to get another box. Now, I have mine set up to, I have like a 2% opacity on here. So as you see, as you get more and more boxes on top of each other, the opacity gets deeper, deeper, deeper. And I don't know if I like that anymore, but that's what I did. So that's what I've got it now. So here's your arrows for your up and for your down. This is your trigger. Yes, do I have any? Here's a couple right here. So here's a down. That's really about it. So let me just give it a little push here for a second, and then I'm gonna call it, and that'll be it. Let me put my status box back on because I do like those. Actually, if you are interested in any of those, that would be again under tools. Oh, here, that's probably one thing I should talk about here. Let's go back into here. So down at the bottom, there are some recommended, you could use the ATR projections if you want to have any ATR guidance for your stops. That's available. Target zones is something that a lot of people are using. That's kind of come in to be a, especially now with the summertime trading, it's kind of turned into be a savings grace. Because once you get so close to your target, then have it come back around. This way it'll get your zone there. And there's videos on each one of those. And then the status box is what this is right here. So I do like those. And as far as any other things you might want, I've always liked the 165 EMA, but I'm kind of like looking at the 89 and the 55. So basically the 55 period moving average, just the regular standard EMA. You could put, you notice I don't have any on here right now. Again, you could put other indicators on here if you want, as far as MACDs or whatever you want. So let me go back to tools, and this is where you'll find the ATR projections or the status box and the target zones. And if you go in there and look at it, you can see a little video tell you what it does, and go from there if those are of interest. Not necessary, but like anything, they help you. Okay, so here we go. I'll slow it down a little bit. So here's your I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's your order. And I can tell you that's going to be a level 2 because of the color. If you go back and read this here, go back. I know I had it here somewhere. Entries. Down here, it talks about, and one of the changes, violet, wherever it is. I don't know. It's in here somewhere. But anyway, the level 2s, so right here, somewhere here, level 2, violet and purple. So you can kind of at a glance see what kind of level you're looking at. So let's see what it does. Slow it down, and then I'm going to call it. That'll be it.
Stop, Phil.
All right, so that's a loser. All right, So we'll leave it on that note, and they do happen. Again, so that's it pretty much. So if the one that you're going to download is going to look like this with the panel, you could actually close it up if you don't want to see it, but needless to say, eventually it'll look like these. So, and that's it. That's all I got. All right, thanks.